welcome back to another video series. Today we are back with another interesting topic, that is cell signal. What is cell signal? Cell signaling is known as cell communication. As we communicate with each other through different languages, similarly cells communicate with each other through signal. So we can say cell signaling is otherwise known as cell communication. And you know that communication is a very important thing. Otherwise we can't do anything. If you want to do something, if you want to make somebody do something for you, you need to communicate, you need to instruct them to do certain things. Similarly, if suppose in which the cell communicate, so this cell signaling is performed. Cell A instructs cell B to do certain work through the process of signal, and these signaling can be two types, that is intracellular signaling and extracellular signaling. What do you mean by intracellular? If the signaling occurs from inside the cell, then it is known as intracellular. If the signaling occurs from outside the environment, then it is known as extracellular signaling. Characteristics about cell signaling. Suppose this cell, first what will happen, the cell A suppose will send signal to cell B. Then how will this cell B receive the signal? This cell B will receive the signal because the cell B consists of a special receptor. This is the receptor to receive this specific received by the cell B through a receptor. So this receptor is very specific in nature. Why I am using this word specific? Because for a particular signal, specific receptor, that receptor will only receive that particular signal only. Okay, so this is receptor and signal are specific in nature. Okay, are very specific in certain changes will occur in cell B, and it will begin the transduction process, that is the signaling process. And it does not stop from here only. It is not between cell A and cell B. Cell B will again activate some other cell. That cell will activate some, and in this process it goes on a cascade manner, that is in a chain-like manner. It will goes on activating one and another. So this is the general summary of the cell signal. Now we are going to understand what are the different types of signaling. Is of 4 categories. It is divided into 4 categories. Number 1 is endocrine. Second is paracrine. Third is junctocrine. And fourth is autocrine. What are all this? These are the extracellular signal. Endocrine. What happens in endocrine? If you remember the endocrine system, which we have discussed in detail, endocrine, what is endocrine system? While we are discussing about the hormones, we have already discussed about what was endocrine system. So this endocrine will send signal. Okay, will send signal, and it will transmitted. It will be transmitted in the form of hormones. If you remember hormones, okay, through blood it will be transmitted. That means the receptor organ, the receiver of these signal will be far away from each other, will be very far away from each other. Remember that in the endocrine signal. If you remember what is paracrine, in this paracrine signaling, proximity means if cell A is present here, then the cell B must be present very close to cell A. Then only the signaling will occur. This happens if in the example is neurotransmitter. This happens in the case of neurotransmitter. The cells are present in a very close proximity with each other. Then what is junctocrine? In this case, what happens? They need a physical contact with each other. That means a channel form like structure as that of the cadherin signal. We will discuss all these things, cell junctions when we will discuss, then we will know what is cadherin. But this gyptacrine requires a physical contact with cell A and cell B when they are undergoing signaling process. And autocrine, auto means self, auto means self. The signal, the one which sends the signal will receive only. Suppose the cell A sends the signal or creates the signal, cell A only will receive the signal. This is the characteristic feature of the autocrine signaling. That means it will only create the signal and it will only receive the signal. So these are the four categories of extracellular signaling. One is endocrine, means the signaling and the receiver will be very far from each other. Like example is hormones. Paracrine means close proximity with each other. Zoctacrine means physical contact with each other, and autocrine means the one which sends signal receives the signal. So these are the four extracellular signals. Then they may be of two types. One is lipophilic. What is lipophilic? Philic word means loving. So lipophilic means lipid loving. And second is hydrophilic. Hydrophilic means water loving. Okay, so these are the two discussed about them: epinephrine, norepinephrine, okay, epinephrine, glucagon, insulin. These are all comes under the category of, and non-steroid hormones mainly comes under the category of this lipophilic. So why we are discussing? We are discussing about the nature of the extracellular signal. Either they may be lipophilic or maybe to receive. The one which receives the signal, the one which receives the signal is known as the receptor. They are again of two types. One is intracellular, another one is extracellular. And again I have already told you what do you mean by intracellular and what is extracellular. If the receptor is present inside the cell, then it is known as intracellular. If the receptor is present outside the cell, then it is known as extracellular. So as I have already discussed that the signaling can be intracellular and extracellular. So according to the signaling, the receptor is also two types, intracellular and extracellular signal receptor. So all those receptors which are lipophilic, as I have already discussed what is lipophilic. Lipophilic in nature will have the intracellular receptor, and the receptors will be present either in the cytosol or in the nucleus. Okay, either in, that is type 1 and type 2. Type 1 include what? Type 1 include all the steroid hormones receptors, and type 2 includes all the vitamins, vitamin B3 and thyroxine receptor. And type 2, the receptors will be specifically present in the nucleus, and in type 1 the receptor will be present in the cytosol. Okay, this is important. And one more important thing is that this type 1 and type 2 is basing upon the intracellular, that is present inside the cell. Either they will be steroid hormone, and one more important thing is a term called ligand. What is ligand? Ligand is any molecule, okay, this molecule which comes and binds to the receptor, and once it binds to the receptor, it will change the configuration of the receptor. So you can say the ligand is also called as a signal ligand, or you can say ligand is also termed as a signal which comes and binds to the receptor of the specific cell, and it will make a configuration change inside the cell which will divide, which will change the cell's activity. Okay, and if you focus on type 1, that is what happens after the ligand comes and binds to the receptor, then its configuration change. But in the case of type 2, there is an exception. Whether there will be ligand or not, then also the signaling will occur. This is an exceptional case. That is, or you can say cell surface receptor. that is the cell, that is the receptor will be present on the cell surface. Okay, in the intracellular all the hydrophilic receptors will be coming under this category. Okay, actually majorly hydrophilic, but some lipophilic will also come under this category. Okay, receptor, which is also known as GPCR. Second is known as ion receptor, and the third one is known as enzyme linked receptor. Okay, so these are the three types of extracellular receptor, and in the next class we are going to begin with this G protein coupled receptor in detail. Ligand, we have already discussed. Ligand is also known as the signal. Okay, and the one which receives the ligand or the signal is known as the receptor. Okay, this we have discussed. Third point we have discussed is the third point we are going to discuss is the primary messenger. What is primary messenger? The first one which carries the message or signal is known as the primary messenger. And similarly you can say, what is secondary messenger? The one which receives the primary messenger, and it will activate after this receiving the primary messenger, it will activate the secondary messenger, is known as the, this is cell A, sends a signal, cell B acts as the primary messenger, or you can say will receives the signal, so then it will transmit to cell C. The cell C, the signal which goes to the cell C is the secondary one, because the primary is the one which is first received. Secondary means later on, simultaneously tertiary and quaternary, like this. So the message goes on going. Okay, so this is certain points or certain basics you need to understand about cell signaling, and this is all about the cell signaling basic. The next class we are going to deal with the G protein coupled receptor in detail, and if you are new to my channel, do not forget to subscribe my channel and please press on the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload the videos, and also to watch my previous videos and make it fruitful and share among your friends as much as you can. And that's all for today. See you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.